It is time to rekindle a little old rivalry in the biggest little city in the world. Whenever Boise State and Nevada get together in Reno, throw the records out the window. It's guaranteed entertainment. The Wolfpack have had a howl of a season. Meanwhile, the Broncos are looking to get back on track and accomplish the one thing that they want most, a Mountain West championship. With just 3 games left in the regular season, the Blue and Orange will approach the summit on their season in the Silver State. It is time for Boise State to truckee through Nevada. The Bronco Roundup Game Day show starts now.
Now, a special presentation from the KTVB Newsroom. Bronco Roundup Game Day starts now.
Well, the Boise State football team is back out on the road, and when they arrived in Reno, Nevada, a winter wonderland greeted them. This is a live look inside a snowy Mackey Stadium on the campus of the University of Nevada, Reno. Welcome on into Bronco Roundup Game Day. I'm your host, Jay Tuss. Boise State looking to get back in the win column after last week's loss against BYU, ramping back up in conference play. Only 3 more games left in the regular season. Whenever Boise State comes to Nevada, usually it is a competitive game going all the way back to 2008. Every trip down here has been decided by 7 points or less. Hey, we have a number of things that we're going to be keeping an eye on for you over the next hour or so as we get you closer and closer to kickoff of this game, which is scheduled for 8:30 Mountain Time. We look at the injury watch, and, well, this is a significant one, especially for the Boise State defense. We're going to be monitoring the status of nose tackle Jackson Cravens, edge rusher Dimitri Washington, as well as middle linebacker Ezekiel Noah. Cravens has missed the last 2 games, while Noah and Washington were highly limited against BYU. The latter of the two actually only played 1 snap, and that was the first snap of the BYU game, and he never returned. So the Broncos could be without a trio of starters as they take on the Wolfpack this evening. We have team coverage, and boy, I am jealous of the friendly confines of the KTVB studio. That's where we find our very own Brady Frederick, who just got done covering one heck of a basketball game. How we doing, Brady?
I'm doing great, Jay, and I will say I am not envious. I hope you're staying warm out there. It looks like you're in for a cold night, but hopefully the game will bring some excitement to warm you up.
I agree. We're going to check back in with you. You got a couple of good stories coming up here in a little bit on the Bronco Roundup Game Day show. Let's give you a full rundown of what we have planned for you over the next hour. Coming up in about 10 minutes, what is Andy Avalos afraid of? Well, Nevada head coach Ken Wilson is a good friend of Andy, and earlier this year, he dished a little bit of dirt. At 7:15, we're going to take you on the emotional roller coaster that happened last week on the Blue between BYU and Boise State. Then at 7:30, Brady is going to show us about the connection between Davis Cutter and his father, Dirk Cutter. This father-son duo is enjoying a workman-like relationship, but it's a fun story. We'll have that for you. And then finally, Taylon Green just continues his ascension as the quarterback at Boise State. He operated really well in some tough circumstances last week against BYU. You know, this week was a big week for the Boise State Athletic Department as it pertains to the future of Boise State athletics. Earlier, Athletic Director Jeremiah Dickey on Monday announced that Albertson Stadium will soon have LED lights thanks to a $750,000 donation. Then on Tuesday and on Wednesday, Dickey was able to secure a $1 million donation on each of those days for capital projects, namely the north end zone. He's going to join me here in just a moment, but I want to give you a live look at the field to kind of show you what we are dealing with right now. Again, Jeremiah Dickey coming up in just a moment, but the field, it looks relatively clean. A number of players have already tested it out. Traction doesn't seem to be an issue at the moment, but we do kind of have this light, snowy rain mix falling right now that should continue well into the evening. It was supposed to get out of the way before kickoff, but obviously the weather was delayed a little bit, and well, these are the circumstances that we'll be dealing with right now. So coming up now, we are going to be joined live on the Bronco Roundup Game Day show by the Director of Athletics over at Boise State, Jeremiah Dickey. What a week for you. We just recapped it. It started back on Monday. LED lights are going to be on their way to Albertson Stadium. Later in the week, we learned LED lights on their way to the soccer field for the women's soccer team. And in between that, you secured a couple of $1 million donations to help on capital projects. How happy are you this week?
What a week. I'm happy for Bronco Nation. I'm happy for our team. You know, you can see the time, effort, and energy that's gone into what we're trying to accomplish. And to see it come to fruition and people starting to step up, and there's more to come. And so it was a good week to be a Bronco.
You got people like Bob Carney, your senior associate AD, so modest in the work that he does. How much of a team effort has this been, and how excited are you that this is no longer just a thought or an idea? We're actually starting to see progress made on these hopes and these plans.
No, absolutely, Jay. I mean, we've talked about it a lot. I get a lot of credit. I have an amazing team. And from our BA staff to Bob Carney that you mentioned to Cody Gogler and everyone in between, they are doing work. And I just happen to be the leader of the department, and I'm really proud of them and how they've embraced the direction we're headed and what's next for us as Broncos. This is just the beginning. And I told everyone when we announced the $300 million vision, it's going to take time, and we're going to have some patience, but we are going to be relentless. And I promise you and our fan base that we won't stop.
You know, when it comes to the LED lights at Albertson Stadium, I remember it was just a little over a year ago. You made the trek out to Fort Collins. You saw their new LED lighting system. You came back blown away, wanting to turn Albertson Stadium blue. What will you be able to do with those LED lights, and how do you think it will add to the game day experience as the approval process continues to play out?
Yeah, I mean, that was the first time I actually had seen lights like that. And, you know, to see what others are doing around the country. We do this on a daily basis, and we're always following what others are doing. And to experience that, and I obviously got my creative juices flowing, and our team's thoughts on wow, what if we could turn them on and off, and what are the opportunities to turn everything blue, from both video boards to the running boards to the lights, and light it up after every win that we have, not just in football but across all sport programs. We talk a lot about 18 sports, 350 plus student athletes, and anything we can do to tie into that experience is going to be awesome, and it ties us into the community that we very much love and are here to serve. And so we've just scratched the surface. Our goal is to eliminate any reason for someone not to show up. I know you keep hearing me say 6 games, 6 sellouts. It's going to happen. Last year we did 2. This year we did 3. Next year I fully expect 6 games, 6 sellouts, and there are no excuses.
I want to get back to the football stadium and the north end zone expansion in just a second. But first off, you brought up 18 sports. Everybody's benefiting from this. How significant will be adding lights to the soccer field be? And then now that plan is in place, how soon do you think it'll be before the scoreboard in the south end zone at Albertson Stadium makes its way over to its new home, which is the women's softball field?
Our hope is that the video board will go to softball. The footing's already in. The video board will go to softball here in January, February. That will be one of the last things that move as soon as you start seeing steel go up, and that's going to happen sooner than later. So that's going to happen quickly. The soccer lights, I mean, we talk about student-athlete experience and fan experience. To have to play a Thursday afternoon game at 3 o'clock because we don't have lights, it's unacceptable. And so to be able to do that for Coach Thomas and that team and how he's recruiting and to meet our expectations from a competitive standpoint, that's massive. And that's just the start. There are other things we need to do at Soccer and Boaz. There are other things that we need to do at Donna Larson. And I promise those coaches that they're going to get 100% of our effort, and we're going to continue to chip away at it.
One more for you, and that's when we talk about the north end zone expansion. That project is expected to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 32 to 40 million. Recently, you guys got approval from the Idaho State Board of Education, $2.5 million for designing and planning purposes. How close are you guys to figuring that out, that next step, and moving closer and closer to that expansion?
You mentioned Bob Carney earlier, and he's my expert. There are a lot of moving pieces in regards to the state board process, and we want to make sure that we follow that process. And so we are extremely close in terms of the RFP. My hope is that comes out over the next 2 to 3 weeks, and then whatever that timeline is, we are moving. And so Bob has promised me that we have all our ducks in a row, and I'm excited to take that next step.
LED lights, a new scoreboard, Albertson Stadium could look very different by that season opener next year. Jeremiah, go warm up. We appreciate it. And you sent out an awfully cryptic tweet recently. Can't wait to see what that's all about. We appreciate you joining us once again, though.
Go Broncos.
All right, more coming up on the Bronco Roundup Game Day Show. Let's get to a look at the tail of the tape of this matchup as the Boise State football team enters the field here behind me on the campus of the University of Nevada in Reno. Nevada enters this game just 2-7. They're ranked 110th in the FBS in scoring offense, 89th in scoring defense. Yep, not super ideal if you're trying to win football games. They're also averaging just 284 yards of offense per game. That ranks 126th in the country, or 5th worst. Meanwhile, the Broncos hold a huge advantage on the defensive side of the ball. Tonight's matchup would be a fun one for two old friends. Ken Wilson is in his first year as the head coach at the University of Nevada. Prior to this, he was on the staff at the University of Oregon. That obviously is where Boise State head coach Andy Avalos was prior to being hired by his alma mater in January 2021. With those two, well, they're very good friends. They're awfully proud of each other. And earlier this year, I caught up with Ken Wilson and asked him to dish a little dirt about his good friend, Andy Avalos.
I will give you one story, and this is the truth. Coach Avalos hates spiders. I'll just put it that way.
We were in my backyard in Eugene, sitting by the fire. Almost got attacked by a spider the size of a football.
If a spider's in this room, he's gonna have one of us come. It doesn't matter how big the spider is.
You should have saw the size of this spider. I hope Coach Wilson didn't leave out the details of the size of this spider. Let's just say that the legs were probably about 3 inches long.
His daughters would have to kill the spiders. If there was a spider on his boat or in his backyard, he's not touching spiders.
Potentially, they need to learn how to not be afraid of spiders, so there's only one way for them not to be. But this particular spider, I may have needed assistance on killing it because it was, yeah. But we handled it. We handled the situation.
Reno, Nevada, affectionately referred to as the biggest little city in the world. As you enter Virginia Street, you are greeted by the iconic Reno Arch. It was originally built back in 1926 to commemorate the Nevada Transcontinental Highway Exposition. It was so aesthetically pleasing, they decided to keep it up for good. In 1929, City Council announced a contest to find a slogan for the town. G.A. Burns of Sacramento was awarded $100 for coming up with Reno, the biggest little city in the world. In 1963, the original steel arch was replaced. It moved to Idlewild Park. The new, larger arch that featured plastic panels remained in place until 1987. It was then donated to Willits, California, who customized it to their own liking. In 1987, the third and current version of the sign was installed. Then, in 2009, all 2,076 of the incandescent lights were replaced with modernized LEDs. In 2017, City Council voted and overwhelmingly decided on one final alteration, painting the sign silver and blue, honoring the school colors of the University of Nevada. You can see the players out on the field in the snow, live and in person, warming up as they get set to take on the Nevada Wolfpack this evening. Kickoff 76 minutes away. Yeah, we have a little bit of an earlier edition of the Bronco Roundup Game Day Show. Davis Cutter getting stretched, warmed up, ready to go. Coming up in just a moment, we're going to hear from him. Brady Frederick is going to have a story about him and his father and their father-son duo here at Boise State. In the meantime, though, we take you back to last week for the sights and sounds of a thriller, the only way that Bronco Roundup Game Day can provide. It is BYU week. Boise State welcoming the Cougars from Provo to play on the blue for one final time as we know it. This game, without a doubt, is the fiercest rivalry that Boise State has been playing over the last decade.
BYU's in the red zone. Jaron Hall shotgun, Lopini left hip. They motion Keanu from left to right. The keeper for Jaron Hall follows Lopini into the end zone, touchdown. Jaron Hall, and the Cougs open on top, 6-0 with the PAT pending after a 6-minute plus drive to open the game.
4th and 1 from the Bronco 34th. Hall under center. Katoa's the running back. To give to Katoa. Katoa is stopped. I don't think he got it. Herbert Gums made the tackle, and momentum has shifted for Boise State. Gums stops the 4th down play, and Boise State has the ball. Green back to pass. Throws it to Caples, left side. He's got it. 3rd catch of the drive for Caples, and it's a touchdown. And the Broncos are an extra point away from tying the game. 16 yards on the pass to Caples. All in the shotgun. Rolls left, being chased by Wright. Throws it, and it's intercepted at the 17-yard line. Coming up with Boise State's interception is J.L. Skinner. Hall under center, looking right, throws it up in the air, and it's intercepted off the ricochet. Boise State with its 2nd turnover. Rodney Robinson from the half-yard line. Handoff Katoa, and the officials look like they're going to mark him short. BYU stopped for a 2nd time on 4th down. We will be tied at 7 at the break. Tied at 7. Green in front of Genty. Green in the pocket. Left corner of the end zone for McAllister. He caught it. Did he get a foot down? Yes! Touchdown to Eric McAllister. Green in the shotgun, gets the snap for rush. Green throws it over the middle. Riley Smith with the catch. The Cougar 45. Inside the 40. They'll knock him down around the 39. 3rd and inches. Green under center, Clydesdale package. Halani walks in, touchdown, and the Broncos are back in front, 20-17, with 9:45 to go.
Bronco 48-yard line. Under center is Hall. Lone setback is Rapati. Play action, screen set up for Hinckley. Makes the catch with blockers. Hinckley 40, Hinckley 35. The 30, the 25. Hinckley Rapati running away from defenders. 10, 5, touchdown! And the Cougs go back in front.
Green will throw again. Down the middle again. It's caught by McAllister. 1st down, Broncos. Green in the shotgun. 2 running backs in the backfield with him. Zone read. Halani to the 5. Halani dives in. Touchdown, Broncos. And Boise State surges into the lead. It's our 7th lead change of the game. And with 6:28 to go, Boise State back in front, 27-24.
Fourth and goal from the 6. Snap Jarrett. He throws for Puka in the end zone, and it is
caught
by
my gosh.
Puka. What a grab!
What a grab.
And the signal is touchdown, Puka Nacua. What a throw and what a grab.
How much does this hurt? Yeah. There's plenty to learn from. And I'll tell you like this. There's no moral victories, but you're proud of them because they care. They don't only care about how they do, but they care about their team and the way the guys fought. Again, there's plenty of plays within this game that we can learn from, that we can move forward, that we can be better from. We played aggressive in this game. This game, we went out there to accomplish the mission. We played aggressive. It didn't work out in our favor tonight, but I'm proud of the guys. I love these guys. I'm excited to move forward when that sun comes up tomorrow. I'm excited to grow and keep marching forward.
Get you a look at the updated Mountain West standings. If there was anything good about that BYU loss last week, is that it didn't count as a conference loss for Boise State. As you can see, the Broncos still a perfect 5-0 in Mountain West Conference play, trying to pick up a win over Nevada tonight. I will say this, Air Force already picked up a win today, knocking off New Mexico, and at the moment, Wyoming on upset alert at Colorado State. The Rams lead the Cowboys 10-7 right now as that game heads for the fourth quarter. If the Rams can pull off that upset, Boise State gets even more breathing room as they try to secure a spot in the Mountain West Conference Championship game. You know, getting back to that BYU game, two areas really stood out to me that Boise State normally is very good in. When it came to last week's game on the defensive side of the ball, I spoke with defensive coordinator Spencer Danielson. He said it was the worst tackling performance by the Broncos all season long, and it wasn't even really that close. So later in the week, I caught up with both Scott Matlock as well as DJ Schramm, two leaders of this defense. They both told me that it wasn't for a lack of effort, so that's a good thing. If anything, it was the exact opposite. They were a little too aggressive, over-pursued some angles, and the cutbacks were wide open for BYU. If you watch practice this week, huge points of emphasis. I expect the Broncos to correct that tonight against the Wolfpack. One other thing was a lack of pressure on the defensive line, or from the defensive line, for the Broncos. They didn't have any sacks against BYU, and they only had one tackle for loss. That's the second time since 2005 that the Broncos have failed to record multiple tackles for loss in a game. So I asked Spencer Danielson, how do you dial up some pressure? They might have to blitz a little bit more with some of their key contributors out tonight against Nevada. You know, for a good portion of this season, the Broncos have had enough talent up front to get home with only 4 guys rushing the passer. Check out the team leaders in QB pressures this season. George Tarlas is out for the rest of the year. Ezekiel Noah and Dimitri Washington are both doubtful for tonight. I'm going to try to get you updates on those guys here in just a little bit. After that, there is a big drop-off. It means that guys like redshirt sophomore Gabe Hunter, who barely played 3 weeks ago, are now going to have to step up big time for the Broncos.
Bronco Roundup Game Day Power Players, sponsored by Sparklight, a stronger connection.
Practice is practice, but getting the game reps and the game speed's different.
They're going to go for it on 4th and goal at the 3. Stratton forced out of the pocket. Stratton throws it, and it's intercepted at the 2-yard line by Boise State's linebacker, Gabe Hunter.
There's nothing like jumping in there. At that point, you can't do anything but draw and rely on your training and your preparation and how you practice. You prepare your instincts. You prepare your mind and your physical ability throughout the week so that you can go out there and react and play fast on game day.
Gabe, he's done a great job stepping up. I mean, he's working his butt off during practice and being in the film room just to make sure that he's ready to make plays happen when Saturday comes.
All right, well, real quickly, let's take a look at something on the offense, more specifically the offensive coordinator. When OC Dirk Cutter took over as the offensive coordinator midway through the season, it presented him with a pretty cool opportunity because although he has a storied coaching career through D1 football and the NFL, he's never had the opportunity to coach his son Davis. So imagine getting coached up by your dad. Would it be cool? Would it be tough? Would it be fun? Well, Davis tells us it's pretty much just been business as usual.
Probably more normal than people would think it is. I mean, it just kind of feels like he's your coach, and every once in a while we have a little moment, but yeah, it just feels pretty normal.
It's been a special year for the Cutter family. Originally brought on the Boise State staff as an analyst, Dirk Cutter took over as the offensive coordinator a few games in, getting the opportunity to coach his son Davis in his final year of college football. But during the football season, they say they keep it all business.
I mean, me and Davis are really close, but when we're in the room like this and the guys are there, I see Davis as a face in the crowd. I try to coach him the same as I'm talking to everybody else. It's been fun for me to be around him. That's one of the reasons I wanted to be involved in my previous role so that I could be around him, come to practice and be around him his last year.
Although it's the first time actually having his dad as his coach, Davis is very familiar with Dirk's style, getting coached up throughout his childhood. Now he's enjoying sharing that experience with his teammates.
You get the message pretty quick on what he's talking about, but it's fun to see other people get it a little bit, because I remember how I used to get it. So he praises you when you do the right thing, and he lets you know when you don't do the right thing. So you're very clear on where you stand, and that's a good feeling as a player, knowing exactly where you stand.
Davis has aspirations to get into coaching after finishing up at Boise State. So you'd think the opportunity to see his dad working up close would help him pick up some pointers.
No.
Thought he would be?
I don't think he's that good of a coach. No, I'm kidding. He has very particular, really good strength. I mean, he's a great communicator. He knows how to play to people's strengths, put people in the right situations, and then just the rhythm and the feeling of the game, knowing when to call the right plays. It really clearly sets out roles for people. Everyone's confident in knowing what their role is, and I think that's super important in offensive football.
Right now, they still have their goals in front of them as they chase a Mountain West title. But when it's all over, they say they'll look back and cherish the time they got to spend wrapping up their coaching and playing careers together.
I try to take it in every now and then, but I'll look back when it's time to look back. Now, I think the better memory is going to be winning a ring and doing what we need to do. So I try to just focus on my job, and I know he focuses on his, and we'll reminisce when that's time.
Now, I know there's a lot of Boise State fans who are really hoping that Dirk Cutter will return as the offensive coordinator next season. Well, unfortunately, bad news. Davis Cutter was very quick to shut all of those down. He says this is it, and he's very excited to see his dad spend the time in the retirement that he's earned throughout his coaching career, and spend some time with his mom, Mrs. Cutter, as well.
I agree with you there, Brady. Earlier this year, Dirk was saying that during a game in the first half when they were struggling on offense, he looked up at the loge boxes, said he'd be rather drinking a Coors Light. Well, hopefully next fall he can go back up there, find the friendly, comfy confines of the loge boxes and, well, the suds, I guess, for that matter, too. Hey, here's another live look at the guys getting warmed up on the field behind me. Some news for you. Ben Dooley in Reno tonight, suited up, ready to go. Don't know exactly the extent that he'll be available this evening, but he is going to be available for the Boise State football team for the second straight week. He made his debut last week against BYU, been out all season just battling an injury. I believe that, Andy Avalos said at one point in time it was a certain type of infection that he was battling. So it looks like he will be available for the Boise State football team tonight. Will linebacker Ezekiel Noah? We'll have that and more. Live from Reno, Nevada, as Boise State gets set to take on the Nevada Wolfpack here on Bronco Roundup Game Day. On our way down here to Reno, you will find some of the gosh darn cutest cowboys that you have ever seen. Cascade native Toby Olson is the president of the International Miniature Bull Riding Association, and this week he's helping host the World Championships here in Reno, Nevada for kids ages 6 through 18. Winners will take home between $5,000 and $9,000. That's a lot of candy. And some of the top contenders, you guessed it, are from the Gem State.
So what you're at is the 2022 IMBA World Finals, the premier youth bull riding organization. We bring 120 contestants from all over the nation. In addition to that, we bring some kids out of Canada, Mexico, and Australia, top riders, and everybody gets together and competes for a world title, basically. There's a lot of very well-known people that are involved, and one of the kids riding here, his dad just competed last weekend in the PBR team series. There's a lot of attention, for a kid to future his career here. several riders from Idaho representing the state. It's like a professional cowboy getting the opportunity to go to the PBR finals or the NFR even. This is the top level for them. The only way I could sum it up is it's just like the PBR, but everything's smaller. There are contractors that specifically breed miniature bucking bulls just like they do, big bulls. So our 6 to 8s, those kids get on roughly 600-pound animals. The 9 to 11s get on 800-pound animals. The 12 to 14s get on about a 1,000-pound animal. And then, our novice kids, they get on everything, the big bulls. Talent from Idaho, we're the hidden gem. I mean, we have a lot of good bull riders in Idaho, and it's exciting. I don't know if we are nationally recognized as much as we should be, because you have some great bull riders in Idaho. You always have. We're trying to keep that trend going, man. We want more from Idaho. Idaho has a represented kid has made it to this round in every age division, and in some cases, a couple of kids in each age division. So Idaho's here kicking butt, man.
It was a lot of fun getting the chance to get over to the rodeo grounds, spend some time with the kids yesterday. Now, the finals are actually taking place as we speak. I'm getting updates on my phone, but I'm not going to lie, it's got so much water on it, it's hard to operate the touchscreen feature with it. But either way, we'll try to get that for you online at ktvb.com. In the meantime, we go from the rodeo grounds, to the gridiron, focusing on Boise State true freshman quarterback, redshirt freshman quarterback, Talon Green, and what he did last week against BYU. It was an impressive performance. Talon completed 17 of 23 passes for 220 yards. He had a pair of scores. He became the first Boise State quarterback in over 4 years to record a QB efficiency rating of 180 or better in back-to-back games. He did it against Colorado State and then again against BYU. He also got his first taste of a potential game-winning 2-minute drive scenario, a series of plays that the Broncos would love to have another crack at.
Bronco Roundup Game Day Fast Stats, sponsored by TDS All Fiber Internet.
Nothing seems to faze him, and we all had the confidence that we were going to go get the job done.
It's BYU 31 and Boise State 28, 146 to go.
Those situations we practice every week, multiple times a week, but to actually do it in a game and it be the end of game is way different.
Hasn't thrown a pick in this game, but he throws low and incomplete to tight end Riley Smith in the right flat. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
We got behind the chains. We dropped a pass on 1st down. Could have easily been 2nd and 5. Throw the screen on 2nd down, get the penalty. So now we're way behind the chains.
Talon Green screens it to the far side. Making the catch as Caples somehow keeps his balance as a flag flies.
That was a really nice throw he made to get us back to the 4th and 8.
Taylor makes a heck of a throw, and Latrell makes a great catch to get us back into 4th and manageable.
And we called what we thought was our best play.
Settles in the pocket.
He was just a little bit late getting back to number 2 on that.
Shuffles and throws. It is batted up and down. That will do it. BYU will defeat Boise State.
We got a tough look and drop 8, cover 1, and that's why you got to win on 1st and 2nd down and put yourself in good situations to move the ball.
I tell you guys every week, all the experiences he's getting in the game goes into his experience bank that's gonna help him through the rest of his career.
It didn't work out, but that's good experience for him, and he'll learn from it.
Clearly, those are situations that we gotta continue to work on. We've done them well in practice, but yes, Talon's experience in those situations will help us going forward and how we can be better.
When you go back and you really break it down, Talon, it seemed like he was ready for the moment. Just the overall team execution just wasn't quite there at a really pivotal time. As we continue to get closer and closer to kickoff here at Mackey Stadium in Reno, 59 minutes out, you can see that the Dalmas family bundled up, ready to go. Steve and Lisa up in the stands, of course, splitting the uprights. Their son, one of the best kickers in the country earlier this week, named to the Lou Groza Award semifinalist watch list. He's out at midfield, getting ready to go. We're back live on Bronco Roundup Game Day after this.
Welcome back to Bronco Roundup Game Day. We're back in the studio in Boise, and we want to show you a football family. It's a pretty exciting local angle as we get you ready for tonight's game. So let's jump in. We'll take you to Rocky Mountain High School, where you can see linebackers coach Mike Tanner. Now, his son Gage Tanner is a linebacker for the Rocky Mountain Grizzlies. He's a staple on their very fierce defense. You can see him laying a huge tackle right there for no gain. He had plenty of big plays just like that in last night's state semifinal game against Rigby, and the family lineage would continue. Their younger brother, he's a freshman, Jax Tanner. He plays O-line for the Grizzlies. Here he is making a huge gap for Art Williams on this play. Now, unfortunately, Rocky would fall in a heartbreaker, 34-27 as they close out their season. But Coach Tanner has another son whose season is really starting to take shape right now. He has to scramble to Reno to see his oldest son, Ty Tanner, the redshirt freshman who got some serious time playing for BSU last week against BYU. And with potential injuries to BSU's defense, he might see even more opportunities tonight.
Ty Tanner's awesome. I mean, he's full of energy. Love to be around him. He works extremely hard. Some of those freshman to sophomore classes, they're not easy, especially once you get into it, and he's still finding a ton of time to get up here and watch film and make sure he's prepared for when his number's called, just like on Saturday. He's very smart, and when he gets out there, he definitely has that edge to him. I mean, he's gonna go cut it loose, he's gonna fly around.
Bronco Roundup Game Day, Beyond Better Injury Report, sponsored by Zoom Care, Beyond Better Healthcare.
All right, let's get you a look at the injury report. The Broncos are battling some serious adversity on the defensive side of the ball. Could be without up to 4 starters from their season opening lineup in Corvallis. We just mentioned that senior linebacker Ezekiel Nova was limited to just 31 defensive snaps last week. That left redshirt freshman walk-on linebacker Ty Tanner to fill in for the other 44 defensive snaps. It looks like Ty is going to have to play a big role tonight with Zeke out for this ball game. And then we're also going to focus on that edge position. Devin Wright, well, the JC transfer, played more snaps than he's ever played before at the Division I level with 19 against BYU. Without Dimitri Washington tonight, he's also going to have to step up for the Broncos. Now, I just mentioned Dimitri. He was injured on the very first play of the BYU game, and he never returned. We were able to capture this video of Dimitri after the game with his arm in a sling. His 4.5 sacks this fall are tied for the team high. Let's jump on over to offense now. How about some good news? Finally, right? The Broncos appear to be getting a little healthier for the most part. As we showed you earlier on the pregame show, right guard Ben Dooley, well, he made his season debut last week against BYU. He's in Nevada tonight, ready to help the Boise State football team. At right tackle, senior Cade Beresford, well, he informed us this week that he plans to utilize his COVID year and return to Boise State next season. Beresford, who is a transfer from Washington State, is one of 2 Boise State offensive linemen that have started every game at their respective position this season. The field a little empty behind me at the moment, just a few players out. The rest of the guys back in the locker room, getting bundled up, ready to go. We'll toss it back to Boise now because, Brady, your alma mater, my alma mater, and well, the place that Cade Beresford originally played his college ball was in Boise tonight for a rather feisty college basketball game. How'd it go?
Well, Jay, after a heartbreaking 2-point loss in their season opener to South Dakota State, the Boise State Broncos were looking to bounce back, and they were doing it in front of a big crowd at the ICCU Arena. The Broncos played this matchup last year in Spokane. They won that one, and we talked about it was my alma mater, your alma mater. It's Coach Leon Rice's alma mater as well, looking for a win against his former school. It was a slow start for the Broncos. WSU jumped out to an 8-0 lead. BSU would then have an 8-0 run to tie it up, and when you need some momentum. How about Tyson Degenhart? Working on his three-point ball, he connects on that one, and you can see him pumping up the crowd here. They were doing their part tonight, and plays like this one right here, they really had no choice. Marcus Shaver, the lob to Najee Smith for the alley-oop slam, and there was a lot more where that came from later on. Shaver Jr. cutting inside. Another one, this one to Lucas Milner. The Broncos would continue to stretch out their lead in the first half, feeding off the crowd, and Shaver continues to set up his teammates, poking the ball free there. Degenhart gets it to Max Rice, who shows off the soft touch on the floater. He would tie Shaver Jr. with a team-high 15 points. The Broncos led 29-22 at the half. They'd keep up the scoring in the second. Look at the circus act from Shaver Jr., not afraid to take it to the rack on the big man. Washington State would try and fight to regain the lead, but every time they got close, the Broncos would answer in a big way. Chibuzo Agbo answering with a corner three after the Cougars got within one on that play. Leon Rice and the Broncos would pick up their first win of the season. They take down Washington State 71-61, and that's a big win. The Cougars are a solid team. We'll get you back to football in Reno in just a moment, but first let's check in with Tom Scott.
Good evening, all, as we huddle around the TV tonight for the 45th meeting between the Broncos and the Wolfpack. This is Boise State's longest-running rivalry, dating back to 1971. So let's follow it through the Broncos' different conference affiliations. Boise State held a 14-9 advantage during its Big Sky years. Some great games during those days. The Broncos and Wolfpack were in the Big West together in the late 90s, and Nevada won 3 of 4. But that one for Boise State was significant in 1999 because that's when the tide turned. Including that one, the Broncos have won 16 of the last 18 against the Pack, including a 9-1 mark in the WAC and 6-1 in the Mountain West. Overall, a 30-14 lead in the series for Boise State. It is trivia time, presented by Western Siding, the Treasure Valley's exterior remodeling experts. This rivalry has faded a bit because of the Mountain West divisional rotation. The last time Boise State played Nevada in Reno was 2018. So which cornerback kept the Broncos in the game with a 99-yard interception return for a touchdown in that one? It was a big momentum switch, you may recall, and you may have seen video of this play on social media this week. Stick around for the answer. I'll have it when we come back on Bronco Roundup Game Day. We welcome you back to Bronco Roundup Game Day with your answer to Western Siding trivia. With Nevada threatening to take a 17-7 lead after an interception of Brett Rippon, Boise State's Tyler Horton had a 99-yard pick six to give the Broncos a 14-10 advantage. It was a game-changing play as Boise State went on to win 31-27, a huge one in the Broncos' march to another Mountain West Championship game appearance.
Bronco Roundup Game Day. Keys to the game, sponsored by Dollar Loan Center. Don'tBeBroke.com.
Hey, for the first time in a while, the Keys to the Game scorecard is filled with red X's. After allowing just 2 total second-half points all season at home, entering last Saturday's game, BYU put up 24 on the Broncos over the last 2 quarters. Yep, that gets a red X. When it comes to tackling, the Broncos received their worst grade of the season, a red X. And, well, finally, Boise State failed to generate any pressure against a stout BYU pass protection unit, so that means another red X. Hey, let's do better this week, right? Well, first up, be good to go. In this instance, TO also stands for turnovers. One of the few areas the Wolfpack have been able to thrive this season is turnover margin. They're +8 overall, which is tied for 11th best in the country. The good news, hey, George Halani hasn't lost a fumble in 252 rushing attempts. And Taylon Green, well, he's only thrown 1 interception in the last 3 games, and that was on a pass that, well, was deflected off his own receiver's hands. Up next, find the silver lining down here in the Silver State. Nevada ranks 36th in the FBS in tackles for loss per game. That's about 25 spots above where the Broncos actually rank. So BSU is going to have to avoid those negative plays and getting behind the chains tonight. Check this out. With the exception of that last play you just saw on your screen, their recent track record suggests that they're going to be able to stay in front of the chains. If you go back to September, the Broncos were 91st in college football in tackles for loss allowed per game. Both the OC and QB changed at that point. Well, Boise State ranked 14th in the FBS in the month of October, and in November they're up to 12th, so that's pretty good. Limiting negative plays is going to be a big part of the success plan tonight. Finally, every time the Broncos have played on the road this season, their offense has, well, kind of been off. Boise State is averaging over 36 points per game at home and just 19.3 in away contests. That latter number ranks 97th in the country, so tonight Boise State needs to hit that number by halftime, in my opinion, and continue marching towards their Mountain West Conference championship title hopes. The players running on the field behind me, and I gotta say, normally when we come to Reno, you feel the rivalry, there's some hostility, but I gotta say this. Aaron Juarez, a former sports information director at Boise State, is now the lead sports information director down here in Reno, and he is taking good care of us. Hot chocolates in the press box for everyone. I want to give you one quick look at the field because warming up at center for the second straight week, Keikani Okoa, Malia Gonzalez, I expect him to make the start at center, with Will Farah for the second straight week bumping over to left guard in order to replace Garrett Curran. Okay, now let's head back to Boise where we find our very own Brady Frederick. And Brady, what a recruiting week for the Boise State football team. We're only about a month or so out from that early signing day period, and the Broncos got some serious work done on the recruiting trail this week.
Yeah, that's right, Jay. They just keep racking them up. And, Boise State getting a little bit closer to a kickoff for what should be a battle with Nevada. But earlier this week, they already won a recruiting battle against the Wolfpack. On screen right now, you can see some high school highlights from three-star athlete Kai Taylor. He's from Pittsburgh, California. That's the Bay Area. He plays wide receiver and defensive back, but BSU will be bringing him on for his defense. Originally, he had committed to play for Nevada, but after taking his official visit to Boise State for the Colorado State game, he changed his mind. He said he spent a lot of time with sophomore safety Shea Oladipo, and he said the city of Boise, the culture of the football program, and the loyalty of the fans are all things that made the school feel like home. He says he looks forward to helping build up this defense, and he wants to help carry on the tradition of competing for Mountain West championships at BSU.
It's great out there, honestly. Like, when I was talking to them, it's like, build like a relationship with everybody here. The town's going to love you. The coach's going to love you. And that's why I chose, like, just looking forward to just carrying on how good our defense will be in the next 3 to 4 years out there. And so just keep building up the defense and keep progressing. That's my goal. I'm coming in to bring the energy, the juice, and just to keep continue the tradition up there. Just to keep building everything up there, and with the other recruits, and just have fun with everybody out there. So.
Yeah, Kai definitely seems like a guy who's going to be bringing the energy when he arrives at Boise State. And, one of the things I like is when he takes his official visit, a lot of those guys are committed to play for BSU as well. So they get to know each other, they become friends, and they decide, you know what, I want to play with you at Boise State.
Brady, appreciate the recruiting update. I want to get you a live look at Taylon Green getting ready to go. TG10 making yet another start for the Boise State football team. 4-1 as a starter for the Broncos. Looking for yet another victory today over the Wolfpack. We're back to wrap up Bronco Roundup Game Day after the break.
Hey Bronco fans, show us your team spirit. Share a photo with us and you could win a big screen smart TV. To enter, text the word FAN to 208-321-5614. Game Day Traditions, sponsored by Mountain America Credit Union.
All right, we informed you of some of these updates earlier in the show, but this is now official. Ezekiel Noah out of tonight's ball game. Same with Dimitri Washington, Garrett Curran, and Jackson Cravens. So the Broncos banged up on defense. This game kicks off in about 30 minutes. It will air on the CBS Sports Network. It's going to get over a little too late for our news at 10, so make sure you join Brady and myself tomorrow for Sunday Sports Extra. Plenty more coverage, and of course, live post-game coverage at KTVB.com when this one wraps up. Enjoy the game, everybody.